Sean here with Real Creators, and today I am joined by my friend Griffin, who's in town for South by Southwest. He's a fellow movie reviewer. He's done some really cool stuff. He had a story that I wanted to share. I wanted to learn more about because some of these questions I've never asked you before. I've just kind of seen little details, tried to piece it together. Mm-hmm. So, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? Let's start with that one.
Yeah, so I'm Griffin. Obviously, I'm on YouTube. I do movie reviews and podcasts online, and you can find me at the Men vs. Movies channel where I'm doing stuff like that. But you can also find me contributing for the movie news outlet The Playlist. I have written a few reviews for them, and I've done some interviews for them, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later on. But if you're interested in any of that, go check them out.
So when did you get started movie review, movie punditry? Where did that start?
It started in July of 2015. And I mean, it really just started on a whim. It's
a common theme. Mine was too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like you watch it enough and you're like, well, I have something to say. I can do this, so why don't I do it? And, and in some instances, I can do it better, so why not do it?
Everything you're saying is my exact story.
It's fact. Yeah. So originally it was myself, one of my good friends from back home, one of my friends from college, another friend from college who was a graphic designer who I helped do some of the branding with, and then another friend from college who is actually still on the show, Brody. Him and I do the James Bond podcast on that channel. And so we started Men vs. Movies, which is why it is men and not man. I am not bad with grammar. It is just unfortunate.
Or an egomaniac.
Yeah, or an egomaniac. Yeah. It has just been one of those unfortunate things where it's like over time, people kind of drop out. They focus elsewhere. Yeah. And so really it's become me and Brody, and I occasionally we throw Tyler Tompkins.
He just went to the movie. Tyler Tompkins, someone that actually went to the movies with us just now to see Captain Marvel.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I mean, I started it, and I have enjoyed it ever since. It's a blast. I've just met some incredible people. I've gotten incredible opportunities out of it.
Even right now, like this is the first time we've met in person was today, and this has been a ton of fun.
No, it's been great. Like you wouldn't have this if it wasn't for doing, taking that leap and making a YouTube channel. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a pretty basic story, nothing crazy. It was just I just decided to do it.
And that's exactly this channel's called Real Creators, assuming I put it on my Real Creators channel. And that's the whole idea of like normal people. What's normal people's stories, not these crazy ones that kind of happen.
Yeah.
So now you're in California.
Yeah.
You've had some cool interview opportunities. What is some of this recent stuff that you've been a part of that's been very cool?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah. So I've been very fortunate lately to have gotten I've had opportunities to interview Damien Chazelle and Claire Foy for First Man Blu-ray release.
So that's the director of Whiplash.
Director of Whiplash, La La Land, First Man. He's one of my favorite working directors today, and so getting to pick his brain was unbelievable. I still can't believe I was able to do that. I knew
that, and even as you're saying, it's like as you're sitting here, it's like, oh, like you were there doing this with him.
Yeah, I mean it's really cool stuff, and I'm like forever grateful that I've had those opportunities because I never ever thought that that stuff would come my way.
And this is so you started 4 years ago. You just started something on a whim because this might be fun.
Yeah.
Within 4 years, you're sitting there with Damien Chazelle.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I'm like one of those people where it's like I don't like to talk about I got to talk to that person who's really famous, but at the same time it's like I got to talk to that person who's really famous, and it was a great conversation. And that's one of the biggest highlights about that. But
you some composers too you've interviewed.
Yeah, I interviewed Lorne Balfe, who did the score for Mission Impossible Fallout. Brody and I actually sat down with him for like over an hour.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he just kept rattling off stuff. We talked about his score on Fallout. We talked about just kind of his work in general because he was very prominent in the video game industry as well, doing Assassin's Creed 3, among many other notable works. And so just getting to pick someone's brain like that, who's also just very genuine and willing to talk with little old me who's really no one, because I didn't get that interview through a major outlet like The Playlist. I got that by just tweeting at him. I just tweeted at him.
So let's like right there. That's kind of where I want to go with this.
Yeah.
And why I want you to just kind of share your story.
Sure.
The whole idea of this is for how did you go from guy 4 years ago to all this is happening. And it's not that like, you know, got some crazy opportunity. It's not that you have all these connections. How did you made this happen? Because that's stuff that you guys can make happen too.
Yeah.
What's that story of how you made these things happen?
So there's kind of two sides of it. The playlist stuff, I mean, you know, well, first of all, I graduated college, so there's the first thing, you know, because I started this channel when I was in college, so not being in college has obviously allowed me to do more things like this. But, you know, after I graduated, I just started sending off resumes to a bunch of different movie outlets because I want to be an entertainment reporter. I want to cover films and entertainment and stuff like that. And so one of the outlets I sent my stuff to was The Playlist, and they took notice of my video background originally. They're like, oh, cool. Would you be interested in maybe working on some like social short kind of videos for our YouTube channel and for Instagram and for Twitter? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. Now, granted, all this is unpaid, but it doesn't take away the incredible experiences that I'm getting. In fact, most of the work you will find is unpaid, so this isn't uncommon. If you're looking to get into this space, you will have to take unpaid positions in order to get where you want to be. Right.
That's like for me, I've done some writing and people are like, wow, you've gotten things published through this. Like, I made $0 off of that. But like that, it's a great resume builder to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible. And so, so I reached out to them, and then the editor-in-chief got in touch with me, and then we kind of started working on that. And then there was a little bit of a lull where I didn't do too much for them, but then when I was getting ready to move out to Los Angeles...
And that was a decision to, like, you want to pursue this. So we talked about this, a year ago, year and a half ago. We were going back and forth, kind of talking, should I? And that's like what I was like, if I wasn't married, if I didn't have kids, if it was just me... Hey, I would go out there, like, just go crazy, and that's something I can't do.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
You can do that thing that I can't.
Yeah, and that was really the decision that has allowed me to, it's afforded me these opportunities, because if I wasn't living out in Los Angeles, I wouldn't be able to go to these junkets, to these early screenings, to participate in these press events that I am now. That
you're constantly at things. I'm like, how is he seeing that? What is?
Yeah, like I mean, like just last week, I was invited to go to the Walt Disney Studios lot to cover the Mary Poppins Returns Blu-ray release. And so like that was kind of nuts. You're walking around and you see giant mouse ears everywhere and Cinderella castles, and so that's incredible. And quick tangent, or not really a tangent, but it was really cool because not only was the director there doing a Q&A, but Angela Lansbury made a surprise appearance there. It was...
I'm gonna tell everyone you're best friends with.
Stop! This is bad. It was just a very, very cool experience. But
I can't name drop any of this stuff, so that I'm living through you right now.
I hate that I am.
Thomas Jane bumped into me one time at a film festival.
That's pretty cool.
That's my whole story, though. That's all I got for you.
And his guns were the size of your heads, right?
No.
He was really skinny?
No, he's not a big guy.
Oh my god.
And maybe he was back in the I mean, obviously he was big shape, but he's not like tall. So I several inches taller than him, and so it's like, who's that skinny guy that just bumped into me? And so like,
it's Thomas Jane.
No, it's Thomas Jane. It's like followed him, was like doing the creeper stalker thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to you. So you tweeted at.
For the composer thing. Yeah. So how that happened is I tweeted out like. It was basically an appreciation tweet because I was listening to the score for Fallout and I was absolutely in love with it. I thought it was probably the best Mission Impossible score, and I thought it was probably Lorne Balfe's best work to date. And so I tweeted out something and I tagged him in it, and he responded, and then I responded to him, and then he responded, and I'm like, okay, so we kind of have a conversation going here. And so I responded again saying like, hey, really like what what you're doing here. Would you want to talk about this more? He was like, my time is your time. So I was like, that's awesome. Could we arrange an interview? And then he was like, I'll DM you or something like that. And so like stuff like that, we're just like tweeting at people.
Right.
Sometimes can make all the difference in the world. And you wouldn't think that because these people get bombarded with tweets on end. And you're right. Sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes it does. And so why not just send that tweet, tag that person, and be like, hey, I love your work. I would love to talk to you about it.
And today it's so easy to get in contact.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't respond, but like, I tweeted out about watching Dave Bautista's 90s action movie that came Final Score.
Yeah.
And then he retweeted it. It was like, that's a tweet right there. And like, they read stuff. They're just people.
Absolutely.
They're at the, on the toilet, just like you. They're like, and they respond. And especially some of these people that, like, you think that they're super busy, but some of them really aren't.
Sure.
Because you don't think the composer of that movie is going to read it.
No, but
If they're into social media, they're just like you.
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you know, sometimes you get like, there are some celebrities like I think I always go to Tom Cruise because Tom Cruise has a Twitter account, but he doesn't really. It's not him. It's like his team that uses it. But when you find those individuals who you can clearly tell it's them, and it's them, like it's their personality being put out there.
I think Donald Trump writes his own tweets. Have you tried tweeting him?
Really? Oh my God! You don't say.
There's a little bit of his personality.
They're so elegantly worded. You would have no idea.
You would think that he had a whole team editing them.
I think he's got like 5 teams editing.
True, absolutely.
Emphasizing the words as exclamation points.
Inventing the words.
I mean, it's his like publicity team. Incredible.
Thumbs up to them. Oh, we were talking about. So you just tweeted at him, and he just kind of went for it.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
What about Damien Chazelle? How did that come about?
Damien Chazelle was an opportunity I had through the playlist. Okay. So basically how that whole thing works is because I live out there and can do those things, the editor forwards me these stuff and he's like, hey, any interest? Do you want to cover this for us? And I'm like, either yes or no. Most of the time I'm like, yes, because holy shit. And so, sorry, I don't mean to swear on here, but...
I know my mother's offended for me that you said that, so...
Well, you know, there's a cool thing called a bleep.
Oh yeah, we're good. Now my mom's not going to be offended.
Perfect. Yeah, no. So he kind of like he gets the emails for this stuff and he forwards it to me. And if I can do it, I can do it.
So let's summarize this down of kind of the key takeaways of how you kind of got to where you're at now.
Yeah.
You just sent out your resume. Like, who are some people I'd like to work with? What do I want to do? Identifying what that thing is. You sent out those resumes. You took a huge life leap of faith, and you just moved. Like, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to go where people are at, where you can network.
Yeah,
you can actually meet people. Like for me, if I could email all the people in the world, there's not all these press junkets where I'm at. There's a few. There are some here because Austin's not like nowhere.
No,
but there's some. And then you just hustle. Like you actually like tweeting at people, like the actual legwork.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's all about, you know, meeting people and not in the way where it's like, oh, meet as many people as you can, but foster no relationships. It's about, you know, actually making genuine connections with people. Like, I'm the kind of person where it's like, if I don't like someone, I'm not going to put the time into fostering that relationship because what's the point? There's it's, you know, I want to make connections and relationships with people that I enjoy talking to. And, you know, ultimately that's how you grow. It's how you learn from other people, and it's how you know, you can wind up with opportunities. And so, yeah, it's kind of my whole networking spiel.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Where can we find you again?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Men vs. Movies, doing movie reviews, a couple podcasts, and then you can find me on Twitter at Griff Schiller, and then you can find Men vs. Movies on Twitter at Men vs. Movies.
All right, go check out his channel. We've been talking movies just the two of us for a long time, so absolutely check his stuff out. So it's crazy we finally got to meet in person and actually talk movies together here in person. Check out his channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.